Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hi, welcome to the Namaste Wellness Show, where we talk about all things holistic health for the mind, body, and spirit, for people and pets, with a touch of cultural soul. My name is Laura. Thank you so much for joining me today. Our topic today is going to be relaxation with Yoga Nidra. Now, Yoga Nidra is a special relaxation technique. You don't have to know how to do yoga. You don't have to be a yoga teacher or anything like that. And my very special guest is a certified Yoga Nidra instructor. He's also a Reiki master teacher, and I actually met him through Lisa Guyman, who was our guest last week. So a little shout out to Lisa. I hope she's watching. And my guest is also a veteran, and he, up until 2015, before the pandemic, he visited the VA hospital every Saturday in Denver, and he did Yoga Nidra with the inpatients there, the veterans who were patients at the hospital there. In 2016, he started sharing Yoga Nidra with the public with groups of 15 to 20 people twice a month up until the pandemic. And he's going to talk to us more about that. And we'll also be doing a demonstration. So please welcome Charlie Brens.
Hello,
hey, Charlie.
Everyone. Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you mentioned that we have something in common with our Reiki teacher, Lisa Guyman.
Absolutely.
It was actually Lisa that introduced me to Yoga Nidra in 2014. We took the Yoga Nidra teacher certification workshop together. And being a veteran after that, I sought out some way to do Yoga Nidra at the VA hospital. And through the grace of God, I was put in touch with the director of mental health for the whole Rocky Mountain VA region. And every Saturday from 2015 up until the pandemic, I was at the VA hospital sharing this amazing process with veteran mental health inpatients. And it was a fantastic experience. Absolutely. As you mentioned, in 2016, I started doing Yoga Nidra with the public. And real quickly here, we'll get into this more later, but we're going to do a demo here in a little bit. For those of you who have no idea what Yoga Nidra is about, this will give you some example. But generally speaking, there are two different types of Yoga Nidra. The original creation was Swami Satyananda back in the 1960s, incorporated what is a sankalpa. It's an intention and visualizations. But what we see everywhere now is much shorter version without an intention or sankalpa, and rarely using visualizations. I think a lot of people associate Yoga Nidra with something that the yoga instructor does after a yoga practice. But what I use it for is a standalone practice. So with the public, I incorporate the sankalpa and the visualization, but with the veterans, just a shorter version, 20 minutes long. And I do have a YouTube channel which has that particular recording for the vets, because when the pandemic hit and I couldn't go to the hospital anymore, the veterans asked me to create that YouTube channel. So it's designed for veterans, but anybody can listen to it.
Nice, nice. So just, can you tell us a little bit what defines sankalpa? A little bit more for the audience.
Right. A sankalpa is Satyananda who created that process, and a sankalpa is an intention or a resolve, typically spiritually based, that we bring into our awareness during the practice of Yoga Nidra, actually at two different points. The first time is like planting a seed, and the second time really makes it a reality. The Sankalpa works with the subconscious mind, and after planting the seed and regular daily practice, eventually your subconscious mind starts seeking out those things in your environment that can help make your Sankalpa a reality. And I'll share with you very quickly. I think it's good to know somebody's experience with the Sankalpa. And so when I was doing the workshop, time to create a Sankalpa, I had so many different things I could choose from. I decided to be generic with my Sankalpa. And so here's what it was. I am changing the way I think, feel, and behave in ways that I can tolerate that will provide me with a better human experience. I did the extended session 120 days in a row. During that time, I noticed that there were things going on, but I wasn't quite sure what. But I really didn't know what to expect. Well, for the bulk of my adult life, I have been a potato chip and Snicker bar freak. Really, always had plenty of those in my home.
Oh, I love Snickers.
Evening, after doing over 120 days of Yoga Nidra, I was sitting on the couch, and I get goosebumps right now because all of a sudden I got up from the couch, went to the cabinet, opened it up. There was a bag of potato chips. I had no recollection of the last time that I had a chip. Wow. Same with the Snickers. And so that is just an example of how powerful a Sankalpa can be. We might talk more about that later if we have time, but I think right now we're probably going to want to get into the demo here. Now, this is going to be 10 minutes or less. Ideally, we lie on our back, but for this shorter of a process, just be comfortable. That's the most important thing. So I think we're ready now.
Okay, so go ahead and set us up. When you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
Okay, so close your eyes and allow the body to rest comfortably against the surface that supports you from beneath. Throughout the practice, we'll allow the breath to move freely. No need to control the breath. No need to analyze the breath. Just watching the breath as it moves of its own accord. Now, with eyes remaining closed, on the inhale, move your gaze up to the eyebrow center, midway between the eyebrows. And then on the exhale, allow your eyes to move back down into their natural, comfortable position. Focus on having the eyes follow the breath. Eyes closed up to the eyebrow center on the inhale, and then back down again on the exhale. Up to the eyebrow center on the inhale, back down on the exhale. So now you can let your eyes rest in a natural, comfortable position and bring your awareness to your body, resting quite still, motionless, the only movement being the gentle rise and fall of the abdomen in alignment with the breath. As I name different body parts, simply take your awareness to those parts and mentally relax those parts. Follow my pace as I go along. Begin with your awareness of the right hand. Relax the right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Bring your awareness to the right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder. Relax the right hip, right knee, right ankle, the foot. Relax the right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth. Now bring your awareness to the left hand. Relax the left hand, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Bring your awareness to your left wrist, left elbow, your left shoulder, the hip, the knee, the ankle, the left foot. Relax the left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth. Bring your awareness to your head. Relax the scalp on your head. Skin on the forehead. Relax both your eyes. Relax both your ears. Relax your cheeks. Relax the nose. Relax the mouth. The collarbones. The chest. Relax the abdomen. Move your awareness to the back of your head. Relax the collarbones. Relax the shoulder blades. Relax the entire spinal cord. And now relax the entire body from head to toe, all at once. And bring your awareness now back to your breath, always letting it move freely. With each inhale, imagine that you hear the words, I am. And with each exhale, imagine you hear the words, my breath. On the inhale, I am. On the exhale, my breath. I am. My breath. I am. My breath. Now move your awareness from your breath to the space between the eyebrows. Now be aware of the space at the throat. Now be aware of the space in the middle of the chest. Be aware of the silence that is in the space in the middle of the chest. Be aware of the stillness that is in the space in the middle of the chest. Allow your awareness to rest within the silence and stillness that is in the space in the middle of the chest. Allow your attention to hold on to that deep silence and stillness. It's always there. Now move your awareness to the space between the eyebrows. Be aware of the quietness of your mind. Be aware of the smoothness of the breath. Be aware of the peacefulness of the physical body. When you are ready, you can move just fingers and toes. Now arms and legs. Open your eyes. And allow all of your senses to fully engage with the room around you. This concludes your practice of Yoga Nidra. Namaste. So that was a little bit less than 10 minutes, and that gives you some idea. As far as practices that I do, the shortest practice I've ever done is with the VA, with the vets. That's 20 minutes, and that's the one that's on the YouTube. Working with, or sharing this, I should say, with the general public, the sessions that include the Sankalpa and the visualization run about 45 minutes in all. There are different components that we can include or extra. And just so you know this, in my public group, there were 3 ladies who were very passionate meditators. I actually did 3 Yoga Nidra sessions that were each 90 minutes in length. But generally speaking, the shorter practice, just relaxation, is about 20 minutes. The ones that incorporate the Sankalpa and the visualization, about 45 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say a little bit about the experience, because I tried, I followed along, and I just always noticed that when you bring your awareness and your attention to different parts of the body, how it's like, oh, you didn't even know you were holding tension there, and it's like, it relaxes that area. So just giving that attention to yourself can be very relaxing. So thank you for doing that. I really enjoyed that. I wanted it to be longer, but like you said, you do have a YouTube video, and you also have a website. So if you can you go to that website and also find the YouTube link too, or can you just put your name in YouTube, or how do you get to the YouTube channel?
Actually, I don't have a website, but what you can do, you can go to YouTube and enter in a search for Charlie Yoga Nidra or Veteran Yoga Nidra, and it will pop up. And we'll provide the link here. And down below, you see right now, if anybody wants to email me, if you have more questions or want to be more involved in this practice, just send me an email and I will do whatever I can to support you. I will say this, you won't find, I don't believe, on YouTube anywhere, any of the practices that incorporate a Sankalpa and a visualization. It's usually shorter practices. And I think it's because when we get into the area of the sankalpa and creating things at the level of the subconscious mind, we really want to know exactly how we're supposed to do this process. There is certainly a method to the madness. One of the things I want to make sure I mention before we get to the end here is what have
We
people.
still have time. We still have
Okay.
time.
What people experience, and there's something with the veterans every Saturday, the same 20-minute segment. I would give them CDs or Dropbox links or whatever, trying to encourage them to have a daily practice. And some of the veterans really took to it.
Right.
And one of the veterans who was an inpatient had been released. I happened to encounter him. I didn't recognize him, but he saw me at the hospital and approached me. And this was something that absolutely, it gives me goosebumps. He said, "Aren't you the guy that does that yoga meditation?" And I thought, how does this guy know me? And he told me, I was an inpatient in 7 North for several months. Oh, okay. You gave me a CD. Then I knew he was telling the truth. Here's what he said. These are his words. I listened to that CD every day. Man, you saved my life. And the way he said that told me that without the benefit of Yoga Nidra, he might not even be here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, the longer with the Sankalpa and visualization, I already shared with you what the Sankalpa is about, how totally on the level of the subconscious, these things occur. And the outside world usually informs us that these changes have manifest. So the beauty of it is we plant the seed during the 45-minute session of Yoga Nidra and let everything else go. Some people like to write down their sankalpa. That helps too. But it is, and in my experience, every day, our daily routine plays such a huge role in our life that what I have seen in people who do Yoga Nidra, those people who make the choice to do Yoga Nidra every day have seen some really amazing benefits.
Well, you did say, practice makes perfect, just like anything else, right? So you wrote something down that says Yoga Nidra means down or into that which is free. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, you look anywhere on the internet and it will tell you that Yoga Nidra means yoga sleep.
Right.
And Satyananda, in his book, he's the one who created this process. He makes a point of saying it's not yoga sleep, it's Yoga Nidra. And that really piqued my curiosity. And in all languages, we have many cases where 2 words combine to create 1 word, antu or whatever. And so I looked up the definition of Sanskrit word for ni, and the definition is down or into.
Okay.
And then the definition for draw is that which is free. So I really liken this to what Swami Satyananda was trying to tell us. It's not sleep. It's going down or into that which is free. And for me, that sounds like a real attractive idea, that the idea of being free.
Free, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so everybody calls it yoga sleep, but it's not. And in fact, I'm going to take a minute here and go down the brainwave patterns that we experience during sleep and the same brainwave patterns that we experience during Yoga Nidra and the difference between the two. So beta, we're awake and aware. We're out and about and tuned into everything.
That's beta.
Alpha, when we go to bed at night, and we start to drift off into la la land, where we hear sounds, but they don't really register. That is alpha brainwave pattern.
Okay.
All right. That's related to sleep. With Yoga Nidra, at the beginning of the process, when we had our eyes closed and moved our gaze up to the eyebrow center and back down again, following the breath, That stimulates the pineal gland to secrete melatonin, and that puts us into alpha. And alpha is a creative state. I mean, you can do that exercise on its own to really inspire creation coming from the subconscious mind. Einstein, Edison, Salvador Dali, a lot of famous people knew the power of alpha. So eyes up and down a few times will secrete melatonin from the pineal gland and put you in alpha.
Wow.
So in sleep, we fall out of alpha into theta, and that's dreamlike sleep, REM. That's where memories are created and stored. There is something worth mentioning here about theta brainwave pattern that occurs during sleep, and I suppose maybe during Yoga Nidra. Only known this for about 10, 12 years, science has. In the brain, we have neurons. We also have glial cells that far outnumber the neurons, and they're much, much smaller. The glymphatic system is the name that we have given to it.
Did you say the lymphatic system?
Pardon?
Did you say the lymphatic system?
Well, it's actually glymphatic. It's a
How do you spell? How do you spell that?
Put a G before lymph, and you have lymph. And
Gotcha.
so what happens when we go to sleep, getting more and more quiet into theta and then into delta, neurons can physically shrink in size up to 40% because we're not using them. It is then where there's a lot of space that is left behind in the brain. And that is a signal for the glial cells to go through all of the nooks and crannies, physically clearing toxins out of the brain.
Oh, wow.
We know that for a fact now. Sleep on your side, right side, and it works much, much better. Yeah, definitely. So that happens regardless of whether we're asleep or in Yoga Nidra. Also, when we're in theta in sleep, the adrenal glands that sit atop the kidneys, they release DHEA, which is a very, very important hormone. Now, with Yoga Nidra, we maintain awareness of the voice, just awareness. We can drop the meaning and value. As long as we maintain awareness of the voice, we will remain in alpha and theta. So we're in two brainwave patterns at the same time, whereas sleep is usually alpha into theta and then into delta. So in sleep, we move into delta, and there, regardless of whether it's Yoga Nidra or sleep, when we're in delta, the pituitary gland releases human growth hormone. So if you look at it the right way, the more relaxed we get, the more of that pharmacy that
right, absolutely,
body has to release.
That's amazing.
And in Yoga Nidra, delta is the unconscious mind, and that is where we hide our stuff. We all have stuff. We don't need to get into labeling or whatever. I just recognize that there are things that are hidden away in the subconscious mind or unconscious mind for our protection. And they will stay there. Here is the beauty of Yoga Nidra. That when we are in sleep, it's alpha, then theta, then delta. Yoga Nidra is alpha, alpha theta, and alpha theta delta. When we are in that alpha theta delta, completely out of our awareness, it gives, and this happens on its own spontaneously. Our stuff will rise up from the unconscious mind, through the subconscious mind, and into alpha. Remember, beta is gone. Our conscious mind is on a vacation somewhere. When this stuff reaches alpha brainwave pattern, we are simply aware. There's no meaning or value to anything. There's no judgment or justification. It's pure awareness. When your stuff rises up into alpha, I don't know how this happened. It's a miracle of life, I guess. It either disappears or the subconscious mind restructures it in a way that it is no longer the impact that your stuff had.
So this is in delta, correct?
Well,
when it rises up in delta.
Alpha, theta, and delta. The stuff that sits in delta in the unconscious mind rises up to the subconscious mind where theta is, and then into alpha, and is released. This has only happened with longer, I've seen this happen 2 times, with a longer session incorporated into Sankalpa and the visualization.
Mm-hmm.
And strangely enough, it happened with two people who were doing Yoga Nidra for the first time. This was in public. Somebody had come in as a guest of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And after this happened probably a year apart, both of these instances. But I never ask anybody what experience they have. If they want to tell me, fine. And both of them stood up. A young lady was the first one, and she said, I feel physically lighter. And she kept saying, she was amazed. She said, I feel physically lighter. The other time, the person said the same thing. I feel light. I feel much, much lighter. There's a lot of things that go on during Yoga Nidra that I could talk about. Maybe one that I think we're all familiar with, dopamine now, and with Parkinson's and whatnot. A 45-minute session of Yoga Nidra with the Sankalpa and visualization will increase the secretion of dopamine by 65%.
Wow. Now, have there been any testing done, like scientific testing done while someone is in Yoga Nidra to determine these? And are there any studies that you can refer us to if anybody wanted to take a look at themselves?
You know, if you are so moved, if you're curious, there's a lot of information online about Yoga Nidra.
Okay.
For me, Swami Satyananda, Satyananda, he is the one that created it. And the book that he has written, available online at Amazon, it goes into great detail about how he developed this process and also the studies that have been done. And it has been used to treat certainly depression and anxiety. It works wonders for depression and anxiety, but even asthma, and on from there. Because what happens, and we know this from Reiki, the quieter you get the body, the more the body is capable of healing itself.
Correct.
And the relaxation that we experience in Yoga Nidra is much deeper than you will ever get out of sleep.
Wow.
Hypnosis, because of the way it is structured, holding you in those three brainwave patterns at the same time. So there are a number, if you want to look at the internet, there are a number of different health issues, mental, emotional, physical.
So let's talk, maybe tell us a little bit about some of the health benefits of Yoga Nidra, and are there any contraindications?
You know, I personally have never had anyone who has had a bad experience. There are people who do Yoga Nidra 2 or 3 times, and they say, well, it's not for me. And everything isn't for everybody, that's for sure.
Right.
But as far as, here's something, and this deals with emotions. This deals with anger. This happened with a young man in public who it was over a year. He had been there every 2 weeks. I had sessions. And he came to me one day and he says, now this Sankalpa thing, this really works. And I knew he was getting something out of it. And I said, if you continue, it does. So about 3 or 4 months later, he came to me, long story short. I didn't know it, but and he knew it. He had anger issues. And I don't know what his Sankalpa was, but he worked with the same group of people, 10, 15 people, for probably 10 years. They all knew each other well. They socialized, whatever. So one day after he's like over a year into his Yoga Nidra, a coworker comes into his space and says, hey, how you doing? And the guy who's doing Yoga Nidra, he turns around, he says, I'm doing okay. And the coworker got a real uncomfortable look on his face.
Ooh. And
so the kid doing Yoga Nidra said, what's going on? And so the coworker said, well, you know, we've been working together as a group for probably 10 years or so. And you know, you used to get really angry outbursts every once in a while, every 2 or 3 months, and really short with people. And I mean, you're a great guy, but boy, a year didn't go by without 3 or 4 times you had those outbursts. He says, you have had nothing in the last 6, 7 months. what
Wow.
is going on.
Wow. He probably didn't even realize it himself.
Exactly. This is the beauty. It operates and manifests at the level of the subconscious mind. And the kid that did the yoga nidra, he was totally dumbfounded. I mean, it was a realization right there that this is real, that I am acting differently than I did before without any conscious effort. And the funny thing about it is for yoga nidra is that the coworker then says, well, what are you doing?
Uh-huh.
And the young man says, I'm doing yoga nidra. And his coworker said, what? So it's strange, but and here's doing it daily is the best way to do it. There's absolutely no doubt about it. We will derive the greatest benefit. But
is it best to do it? Is it best to do it in the morning, in the evening? Is there a better time of day to do it?
Good question. My answer to that is as long as you do it every day at some point, that's the important thing. But if you're really hooked on doing it the right way, it's like meditation. You want to do it within an hour or so of getting up. And what that does is it provides you with a mental, emotional, and physical state to go out into the world. Rather than going out into the world and having all of this stuff happening and then trying to recover. But I know people that do it in different ways, but really the important thing, the greatest benefit that I've seen is people that choose to do it every day. Now, I do know people who they really are gung-ho about it, but the power of writing, I mean, we could do a podcast on the power of writing.
Right.
But what some people choose to do, and I know a couple of them that are doing it right now, before they go to bed, the last thing they do is they write down their sankalpa on a piece of paper. Lights out, they play Yoga Nidra recording of mine while they're sleeping because we're aware of what's going on. In the morning when they get up, they write down the sankalpa again, and that is the only time they do Yoga Nidra. So they're not even awake. They're asleep when they're doing it.
Wow.
Also,
okay. Back up a second here. So they don't realize that they wake up and write it down?
No, they know what their plan is. They write it down before they go to sleep. They turn on the Yoga Nidra. When they wake up in the morning, they write down their sankalpa again.
Oh, okay.
But they are not awake when they're doing Yoga Nidra. They're doing it while they're asleep. Whatever works.
Right.
Also, I think it's worth mentioning that if we have a specific recurring event that, let's say, some people mentioned to me, my family, whenever I get together with my family, we've got
triggers.
Whatever it is, whether it's going to work or whatever. So what people, I'll give you two examples. One is a single mom, working mom, Sunday night for the kids, bath prayers in bed. She goes into the living room, lies down on her yoga mat and does 45 minutes with the sankalpa, then goes to bed. I don't know what her sankalpa is, but what she told me, she said, Monday mornings used to be absolute hell. Now they are heaven. She said, not just with me, but the kids, it just flows. And the only time she does Yoga Nidra is Sunday night before the Monday morning.
Oh, okay. So before that event that usually triggers some negative emotions.
Exactly. If you know that you are exposed to an event that triggers you in some way or whatever, that's a great way to do it just before then. And one more thing here, the short practice. This is a veteran who was an inpatient. He's been out for a few years. He's a stand-up comedian. And he told me that an hour before he goes on stage, he listens to the 20-minute practice, and he told me, he says, I laugh more than the audience does.
Wow.
Yeah, he said it is so smooth, but he also told me the only time he does Yoga Nidra is an hour before he goes on stage. That's it. So whatever works. You know,
so maybe I need to start doing a Yoga Nidra before I do my show, so I'm not nervous, right?
Well, it is absolutely amazing if we are persistent and patient enough. That I usually suggest,
give yourself that gift, you know.
Yeah. People always ask, well, how long do I have to do this? And I tell them every day for the rest of your life, and they want to check out. But, but In my experience, it's 120 days in a row. It's like, liken it to this. We have subconscious ways, habitual ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving. And let's liken
Because
them
we
to
have thousands of thoughts. I mean, we have so many, I don't know if it's thousands, but we have so many thoughts in a day, they tell us. And a lot of them are negative self-talk. So yeah.
That's absolutely habitual. So imagine your subconscious way of thinking, feeling, behaving is a helium balloon. And then you take your sankalpa and you lay it like a piece of silk, a thin layer of silk over this helium balloon. Well, it's not going to have much of an effect. But if you continue day after day after day to put layer upon layer of silk on that helium balloon, eventually it will go away. And what happens with our old habitual way of thinking, feeling, and behaving, eventually it disappears. I mean, gone.
Or it
It's
gets
not
smaller
like,
and smaller, they
yeah,
say.
it's not like there's things working in their head where I don't have to do that anymore. I don't want to. No, it's gone. Just like my potato chips and Snickers, I give absolutely nothing to it. So, but definitely, if we want to derive the maximum benefit, I think we should do at least 120 days in a row to start, and then after that, see what happens.
Well, now, what if you? Because some people say that it takes as little as 21 days to create a habit. So maybe at least, because sometimes you say, okay, when you're talking about baby steps, and you say, okay, you have to do this to get good at it, do it 180 days. That might sound really big, but maybe start smaller, if you can do it for 7 days or do it for 3 days, and then just once you accomplish the 3 days and the 7 days, then you feel like, oh, I can really do this and keep going. So
yeah, consciously trying to change habits, and it can be done. But the beauty of Yoga Nidra, this is all done out of your awareness. You're not thinking during the day, oh, I don't want to think about it. I want to do this or whatever. You give absolutely no thought to it. You can if you choose, but it's all coming from the level of the subconscious mind. So the conscious mind is free to think whatever it wants. It's not to say that we cannot change habits with the conscious mind, but I think that it is easier to affect permanent change. How many people who consciously quit smoking and a year later they're back smoking again? That type of thing. Whereas with Yoga Nidra, when it is gone, it's gone.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You say once it gets to the theta level and then goes back up to the alpha level. If you can get down to the theta level in Yoga Nidra, and then these things that are that stuff, as you say, is in there, and then it can rise up and kind of release it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there's since we do have a couple minutes here, this is from Satyananda's book. I'm going to read.
5 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to read. Just to take about a minute to read this, but these are Satyananda's words. This is after he discovered how the subconscious and unconscious and conscious mind work when we're sleeping. So he had an ashram, and he had one young boy show up who was nothing but a misfit. He broke things, he bothered visitors or whatever. And so here's what he said. Finally, he became such a liability for the ashram that I decided to try Yoga Nidra on him. I began by chanting the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita to him about 3 minutes after he had fallen asleep. Then when he got up in the morning, I would have him read through the chapter, which he would do, of course, mindlessly. After 1 week, he was able to recite the whole chapter by heart. When this succeeded, I went ahead with other texts, and in this way, I managed to teach him the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Upanishads, the Bible, the Quran, English, Hindi, Sanskrit, all that I knew while he was sound asleep. Wow. Now that boy is 21, and I have sent him to the USA. He speaks 11 languages and writes and lectures in English better than I do, yet he has never been to school. All of his studies and learning took place within that 2-year period when I gave him Yoga Nidra, and he does not even remember it.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. That gave me chills to hear
When the
that.
conscious mind gets out of the way, there's
Mhm.
a very wonderful world there of creativity.
That
Yeah.
exists.
So,
Well, I want to, if you want to give out your, say any contact information you want to share. And I also wanted to clarify, do you do individual sessions with people? Can they contact you to do sessions or even contact you for group sessions since you can also do virtual? Um,
normally what I do about my email address is it's easy, charlieyoganidra@gmail.com.
right. And we've
And
been
then,
scrolled.
and
Yeah.
then
Thank you.
the YouTube channel, I think it is appearing on there. If not, you can email me and I'll give you the address for the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Um, here's what I would do, because if you're interested in using the form that uses Sankalpa and visualization, it would be best if we actually talk on the phone so I can explain to you exactly how to develop a Sankalpa. Because if it's not done the right way, it's probably not going to work as well. I have no problem with that. But what I do, like with the veterans, I have a number of scripts on Dropbox. And so I just send somebody a Dropbox link, and there you go. You've got access to that particular script.
And then
With,
you do charge for that though,
yeah,
don't you?
what I ask is $15
Okay.
for each script. Yeah, it's just a
Okay.
one-time fee, and you can listen to it the rest of your life for that $15.
Okay. And then you have a phone number. Did you want to share the?
Yeah, my phone number in Denver here is 303-589-2240.
Oh,
And if
thank
I
you.
don't answer, you can leave a message. But I am passionate about this practice, and I'm also passionate about trying to help people who want to use this practice to manifest permanent change in their life.
Thank you so much, Charlie. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. I've learned so much that I didn't know before about Yoga Nidra, and I'm anxious to start practicing it myself. And I just want to thank our viewers for tuning in. And I hope that you will reach out to Charlie if you're interested in Yoga Nidra. And also, I hope you'll continue to join me each Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, stay safe, stay well. Namaste.
Namaste.
Mhm.